Hello, my name's Nomad, the host of Master of Your Crafts podcast. Learning from leaders who are continuously inspired, passionate, and driven to align with their soul purpose, sharing their gifts to bring healing to others. The music is composed by Rebecca Everett. Today is episode number 26, where we'll talk to Yomar Augusto, also known as Tooya, which stands for the Office of Yomar Augusto. Tooya is a progressive design and typographic studio built for the digital age. With more than 15 years of experience working in Brazil, Europe, and the United States. In 2016, Tooya relocated to California from New York City. Born in Brasilia and raised in Rio de Janeiro, Yomar initially trained as a graphic designer, earned a master's in type design at the Royal Academy of Arts in The Hague, the Netherlands. Yomar also presented commercial and conceptual projects with solo exhibitions in Asia, Europe, North and South America. Hello and welcome to Yomar. How are you today?
Hi, hello for you too. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for the opportunity for having me here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You intrigued me quite a lot with your social media attention. The beautiful pieces that you do in the artistry that you have created and branded yourself with, so to speak, in that creative world. So it prompted me to reach out and connect with you to learn more about you and the mastery of your craft.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any mastermind plan behind the social media part, but thank you.
Well, it's visible. You're visible. So, and it's intriguing for me. What do you believe about yourself in the work that you do and how you put yourself out there? And when you're in that space of creativity, what do you believe about yourself? And do you feel that element of who you are reflects through what you produce? And when you're in that space, and do you feel it defines who you are?
That's an interesting question. I don't know even if I go into this deep thinking about myself per se, but maybe I think I try to investigate things, and the investigation sometimes take you to directions that you feel happy about it. Sometimes you don't feel happy about it. I think that artists are a little bit like researchers, so and musicians or something like that. You research and you believe, and then you research on a specific medium, and that medium take you to a deeper level of research. And you always can take your research deeper and deeper and deeper as you can. It's a little bit like diving. Mm-hmm. The ocean is super deep, so you can, or a mountain analogy is nice as well. Am I ready to climb the mountain? Which kind of preparation should I be doing to climb the mountain? So with arts is a little bit the same. I think you need to prepare yourself and sometimes take risks. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think a lot of the research I do somehow is connected with the things that I've been doing for a while. So yeah, I don't know if it defines me. I think because you are what you are, and then you evolve as a person and you evolve as an artist I think it's two separate things. I mean, at least is my opinion. Because you can definitely separate the artist from the art itself. I see myself as a researcher for things that I found interesting, and I try to visualize them.
Mm-hmm. So the analogy you used as a researcher makes me think about what else would you be researching, and how does that really differ from researching as an artist versus researching as you as a person? Because do you not ultimately become one of the same? Because the drive, the passion, the strive, the desire to create and curiosity, doesn't it come from the same space? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it does. The research of your work and the research from yourself, they can collide, but then you can separate them. Because I think as a person, you have you have specific needs, right? You need water, food, and simple things, right? I understand that a lot of people want to try to find the reasons because why the reason I am here. So maybe there's no reason at all. You're just here, you know. I don't really judge if you're really into the idea to try to investigate why you are, who you are, or why you are doing what you're doing. It's fine. You might be spending your whole life trying to figure it out, and you're not gonna figure it out. I try to see things with my life in phases, like instead of the whole thing. So if I have a specific goal, I go towards that specific goal. When I got that goal done, I kind of relax because I think I hit it, something that I don't need to look for something else because I found what I was looking for. So, and that gives you a certain level of, not a certain level, but a huge level of content. So, because I think our society and the way that we live in is always about the next, the next and the next and what I'm looking to the next. So why, you know, so it's a little bit trying to enjoy your day as much as you can. So my process is always, I believe there's a cleaning and dirty process where the super messy in the studio got flooded with process. And then I just clean them out and then start over. So I think life is a little bit the analogy of your day. You wake up messed up and you're going to end up the day messed up. No matter what you're going to do during your day, you're going to it's going to end up wrong. So try to enjoy this process as much as possible. The artwork is a representation of my life experiences, I think. So as long as you keeping building your library, right? Your personal library, you have your library. Each person has a library with the books, with the experiences, with the mistakes. So your life library kind of thing. So you can look at it and acknowledge, oh man, I did that mistake on that time and I'm doing that mistake again, right? It like this kind of stuff that I think about a lot of time because I'm a collector. I collect so many things. Sometimes it's the problem of, oh my God, it's so nice not having anything, like no work, no furniture, nothing. You're absolutely a lighter person. But I try to visualize my work combining with my personal experiences. And I try sometimes to divide them, you know. You need to be realistic. It's a business, you know. So you need to sell your artwork. You can be all this deep, my deep thinking and my feelings and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you need to sell the painting to be in a place or artwork to be in a place. So I think I try to see these things in many different point of views.
Because it's ultimately the fulfillment piece, right? That we're probably all seeking. The fulfillment of being content in our professional life,
right,
and personal lives, and all the other facets of life that we have.
Right.
But also satisfying the worldly elements that we live in.
Right. I think that's exactly what I would like to say. I think you need to find a way to be content with you. And if you be content with you, you're going to be content with your work. The work is just an extension of your life. With when you cook is another extensions of your life. When you walk is another extension of your life. To figure out ways to be able to feel accomplished in your life, not in the sense of the whole thing, you know, but with small things. I love to do accomplishments during the day, making lists and accomplish the list, and that's it. You know, not having. I don't have a master plan. because kind of figured out a way to be content to myself, you know, to be, I consider myself accomplished in life. My goals are, I already hit them. I have huge goals as well. I mean, for sure, but then my smaller goals are so as priceless as the huge ones.
That's a really interesting perspective of the collector of things and feeling accomplished in your life, and looking at art from your life experiences that you have experienced. And since you have traveled and lived in many countries and cities, what was it that spurred you into the creative space to begin with? What was that journey like?
I mean, definitely start with my family. My mom is into fashion design. My sister is a gifted designer, artist, book binder. My aunt is a fine artist. My other aunt paints and ceramic. I have a cousin. He makes puppeteers for theaters in Czech Republic. I have another cousin. He's a gifted fine art photographer, advertising photographer. And then definitely is in my family DNA. And the traveling part became bigger than I thought. When I stepped out from the first time in my life in 2001 to New York, I was like young. I was 23 years old. And it was a shock. It was the first time I was abroad, living by myself. Unfortunately, it was when the September 11 hit it. So I was in downtown Manhattan when the towers collapsed. So that was very amazing. Not amazing in a bad and a good way, because it wasn't one of the times of my life when that happened. Kind of interrupted my journey in New York. So I went back to Brazil, established my own studio in Brazil, small, always working small. But I always want to go to Europe. So I managed to be able to, I always want to go to England because I love British design, graphic design. I love it. I still love it. For me, it's one of the pinnacle of graphic design is British graphic design history in a way. There's other cultures that I really like, but British is definitely my 3 favorite ones. I could not done it because England's so expensive. I'm not a rich guy. I kind of gave up the dream when I was in Brazil, and then I started saving money. I was on the verge to buy an apartment in Brazil when I was like 26, 27. But then an opportunity to go to the Netherlands arose, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take it. I will buy the apartment when I come back from Europe. I want to study in Europe. I went to Europe, to the Netherlands. My plan was to stay 2-3 years. But for life reasons, I stayed almost 9. I got married and passed through a divorce, and I got a job. I lost a job. Started my own studio. I did everything in the Netherlands, as you can imagine. Like I ended up, at the end of my life, I was a professor there. I was assistant professor at the Willem de Kooning Academy in Rotterdam. I think life is a little bit like a circle. Like it's always a circle, always coming to. You come back where you started, but a bit like with more experience. I think traveling is very important for me, because traveling gave me a lot of life experience. You know, talking to people on the streets. Like I traveled a lot. Spent half of my money on traveling. Something that I definitely don't regret it. But at the end of 2012 was very difficult in Europe, so I decided to apply to come to the States. And the States gave me the permission to come by myself. So something that I know that people complain a lot about United States, about immigration, but in my case, the country has been great. They allow me to come, and United States is a great, I mean, I know that it's rough for people, but from my particular case, it has been a great country. Yeah, that's it. I've stayed 3 years in New York. When I was in first time in New York, I was for like 4 months only, like showing work and nothing really serious. When I came back, was serious. Was like I was more mature and much more experienced. But at the same time, it's very, very difficult. Somebody told me once, I don't know who told me that. the landing is harder than the takeoff.
Mm.
So I like to listen to people with more experiences. That's the traveling part kicks in, because you need to listen to the locals, you know, like understanding that part. Like talking to people is very important, to people that I don't know on the streets. Like going to Turkey and you go to a restaurant, the guy start talking Turkish with you, right? That's, to me, that's a very, because I could be Turkish, but I have no idea the guy was talking. Like such a beautiful thing about that's wealth of life right there. The guy thinks that I am a local, and he talks in his own language with me, and I don't have no idea what he's talking. And that happened a couple of times in Turkey, actually, in the supermarkets, and so that I felt so at home in Turkey. Like, oh my God, man, they think that I am, and that's, to me, is a very special thing, right? It's just
Absolutely.
Maybe people don't, but I think that is that's life, you know. And I think when you start to travel, you see what's the wealth. The real wealth is the life. It's not stuff, you know. It's not. I mean, of course, you want to have good stuff, good clothing, you know, a good car, whatever, a great apartment. I get it, but the wealth of life, when people share with you, is incredible, because you can correlate it, you can keep it, and you can take this to your own life.
Yeah.
And that's, I go back into the library of your own life. You put that in your library, and each time you want to record that particular situation in your life, you go there and remember that, you know, like, oh man.
Traveling will do that, right? Traveling will install many different experiences and aspects of yourself that, if you're open and receptive, can change you as a person.
Yeah. I think you're going to be constantly changing anyway, but because you're getting older and things are kind of getting a little bit, maybe responsibilities are getting bigger. I think the traveling part is just seeing the world, right? I realize that people get too attached into this is my country, this is your country. All right, man. Okay, just feels a little, the nomadic life makes you allow yourself to let it go things that normally a person that doesn't move that much takes very seriously, and that's okay, you know. I'm not but another thing, when you move to a different country, you can't be you cannot bring too much your opinions about how to change the local culture neither. So you need to kind of be in a very, soft spot.
Absolutely. It allows for different conversations.
Yeah, it definitely is something that I want to keep pushing. I have traveling goals. If you ask me a goal, I have a lot of traveling goals.
So there was no doubt in your mind at all when you grew up around all this creativity that this is the path that you was going to take, is to be creative and not be a financial stockbroker or something like that.
I can believe it that if you're a financial stockbroker, you definitely need to be a creative I mean, you have such a creative thinking about how investments has to grow. And
sure.
I would love to have that for sure, for when I want to get retired. And I think so. When I was a young kid, I always felt that my path would be towards creativity for sure. I had no doubt about it, especially having my sister as my, like, a spearheading. And then I was her assistant during high school, so high school, and I was already carrying, huge boards presentation, because now today everything's iPad, like projection, super digital. But back in the day, man, you need to do like all these boards and presentations.
That's right.
Print them out, glue them. And my sister is such a, I mean, I cannot even call that woman perfectionist. It's like beyond, like, she wants millimetrical stuff, and was sometimes a pain, because I'm not such a perfectionist like her. But I learned how to be a little bit better, because I'm more there's a little glue here. Who cares? No, I do. She was mental, like absolutely. And that was tough boss, but she was awesome. I
Yeah.
worked with her maybe at the beginning of my career. I was like full time. I was her intern.
All part of those life experiences for that library, right?
Exactly. No doubt. I mean, that's the wealth right there.
That's all
Even
it is.
bad bosses can give you good directions,
Lots. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. I guess a philosophy on life or situations that just be, perhaps, and just be and go through life and have that experience of what it is. Do you feel that the creative outlet that you have chosen or the experiences that you have had is a calling, or it comes from a higher place or something greater or a greater power? Does that wisdom and does that drive come from somewhere else, do you think?
Are you talking a spiritual level?
Yes.
I definitely don't think there is a higher power or anything like that. I just do. I mean, I'm not a doctor saving lives, and I think people who deal with like saving lives, and the guy has this call to drop everything and go to be a doctor without borders.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, my God, Yemen, or like
Mm-hmm.
countries with
Mm-hmm.
wars, or maybe journalists. Not the journalism we're seeing now, but journalism telling the truth, the investigation, what city, what's happening in your life, in your own neighborhood that you have no idea. And then
Mm-hmm.
regarding if I believe I have a call, I don't believe it. I think I consider it fortunate that I
Mm-hmm.
do what I like.
Mm-hmm.
And the as you said about the B, I think is very important,
Mm-hmm.
because you literally allow yourself to slow down instead of to press the forward. You press the slow down button, because there's no slow down button, right? There's always pause or forward. I
That's
think
right.
should be like a slow down button. So I think about that a lot, because life
Mm-hmm.
goes faster and technology goes even faster. Information is even faster. So I think and I acknowledge that I have no capability to follow all that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to slow down my life as much as possible to have a level of content and level of presence that I think it's great for you to see things that you consider maybe mundane, but they are beautiful. But I don't think there's a higher power. I'm not that important. I think like there's other more. It's always go back about the art. It's always about. I mean, it's always about your art's gonna be in somebody else's wall to make the apartment looks cooler. Like
Mm.
I get it. The whole stock exchange art thing, coolness, and
Mm-hmm.
I get it. That's why I try to see life a little bit like working as a musician. Go to the studio and compose music.
But from a spirituality perspective, and maybe even some of the pieces that you're doing already, you're already tapping into a space of awareness, that beingness on a deeper level by engaging with others
Right.
and building your own library and expertise of who you are, having those enriching experiences and the outlet of art
Right.
can be considered a spiritual experience too.
Right.
That you're in a space when you hone that insight, that experience, that wisdom into a space on a canvas or as a book or an interview or whatever it is.
Right. I think I have more. I think I have. I'm a surfer. I surf. I'm in the ocean a lot. I see a lot of nowadays. I've been seeing a lot of animals, and like I consider. I think the surf experience for me is much more spiritual than art. I think art for me is is something that I designed them. I've been teaching for a long time, since 2002. So I've been an assistant professor in many different schools around the world. in New York and in California, in Europe, and I taught even in China and Russia. So it's always about, for the students, I say, try to design your life. How are you going to design your life? How you want to, and is a little bit like your house, it's brick by brick, furniture by furniture. But in the spiritual level, when you surf and you're in the ocean and you have I think it's spiritual for me is the nature. Mm-hmm. When you see a wild mm-hmm. animal eating another wild animal in front of you, mm-hmm. right? Like, mm-hmm. and I encountered not a long time ago, we were surfing this spot, and there's always a lot of animals on that spot, because of there is some deep canyons, and there's a lot of animal. You can see a lot of animal activity. Mm-hmm. I hope I don't see the big boss, but mm-hmm. But this I think it was a seal was eating a stingray, like dismembering the stingray, right here, like 2-3 meters from me, like. Mm-hmm. And then I tried to go a bit closer to take a cooler look. The animal stopped eating, stand up his head, or her, I don't know if it was a female or male, and look right in my eyes, right? Like mm-hmm. these big black eyes in front of me. And I just paddled away. And that for me was a very spiritual connection, like, or energy connection with the nature. Spirituality for me, when you allow yourself a different place or area that you normally don't spend a lot of time, but nature allow you to be there for a specific period of time,
right?
And you see life happening. It's the same thing with talking to the people on the streets and having this listen to everybody but talking to few. I don't know. I think that's good. I mean, at least for me, it's important to be a positive person. Mm-hmm. Even if the situation is a bit sketchy, Mm-hmm. I learned that from situations in the mountain, situations on the ocean, where I felt that, oh my God, like, why am I here? Nobody invite me here. I came here by myself, and you need to fix. Sometimes the ocean is the ocean. Sometimes the mountain is the mountain. They're going to do their thing. And you were just like you just a grain of sand. You can get wiped out. So this kind of things makes you humble. Being humble is an important part of life for you to be able to see things that normally, if you're not humble, you're not going to be able to see it.
You seem to be a lover of experiences, and history will definitely give you that in abundance.
Right, because if you don't know the history of the place, you commit the same, you make the same mistakes, right? On the history of your whole life and the history where your life is placed.
Yes.
And that's you learn by traveling, because if you go to Istanbul, that Istanbul has so many layers, that that's city right. was a different city. For me, part of my family is from the Middle East, is from Lebanon. And I always want to go. And when I went there, I was with a longer hair, and mm-hmm. the people, again, they were looking at you like, oh, this guy could be from here, but he's not from here, kind of look. You know what I mean? This look.
Yes.
You need to figure out the looks. I think the looks are important when I'm not welcome here.
Yes.
But knowing the history of things is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It just adds to the perception and your perspective of how you can navigate through life and what that looks like, right?
If you're into that navigation of life, being always a student is important, right? Always learning and studying. And I learned that being a professor. Oh my God, these kids are so better than me. Like, they're mm-hmm. so smarter. But at the same time, they don't have the life experience, especially kids from the United States. It's kind of cool when you bring this experience into the classroom. I love it. I love this, what you're doing. I do a lot of teaching like this, just mm-hmm. freaking talking, like talking about life experiences. And my way of teaching is all about creating motivation, especially when you do typography. I'm into type design. Typography is always about they have to work hard. If they don't work hard, I cannot do nothing about it. They can't hide.
Right.
They try, but if you hide, it's worse for you. So we talk a lot about this kind of level.
Mm-hmm. I think you touched on it earlier in the conversation also about being open and being receptive, be it as a nomad or be it as a local, creating a space where it's okay to be wrong, or it's okay to be learning, and it's okay to be in a space of, I just don't know.
Right. I'm a lot on this space. I just don't know. I'm
Right?
constantly on the I don't know phase. Like,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely fine. You know, it's actually kind of the beauty out of it when you don't know, and you need to kind of grasp a little bit of the reality of knowing a little bit. If you figure it out, way like, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to know everything, and you're not going to be able to hug the world. So you can try to find something that you really can be good at it, and try to, you know, craft your life towards that goal. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talking about in the work, I mean, because this analogy can be good for the work and yourself as a person. Having good people around you, that's the beauty of life. I think, you know, you can giving gifts, get a gift, right? Right.
Yeah.
That's, I believe about that.
Yeah. And it's a cycle of life, is it not? You give and you receive. You're a student and you're a teacher. Whether you're doing it intentionally or not, that's just way the world works, I believe. Depends on what that dialogue is and what the intention is behind the dialogue too, I think, is a beautiful experience of how we can look at life and experiences and everybody's perspective so profoundly, and looking at the good that people have, whether they show it so readily or not, because we know underneath there's something there. It just depends on what they choose to mask it with. What do you believe your intentions are with your craft, the creative world? Do you have an intention specifically, other than have people put their art in their living room or wherever it may be?
It's a little bit like the musicians, right? Like, if the musicians make music, what's the intention of them making music? Because it's just something that comes out of like sweat in a way. So what's the intention of sweating? The intention of sweating is the body is trying to, you know, keeping the temperature right. So I think my intention is to produce my work as much as possible, and I don't have a master plan. Maybe definitely I would love doing projects with cities. That's my intentions, like doing more mural with city work, like public art, stuff like that. I have no problem making a painting for any person. I've been doing like commissions and stuff like that. My work is very mixed. I work with painting, photography, filmmaking. I have my design studio that I primarily do projects involved with typography and lettering. So my artwork's is kind of mixed media in a way, very mixed. So my intention is actually, I am actually doing exactly my intention has been like, I told you about being fulfilled. I'm absolutely fulfilled. Like I'm doing exactly what my intention is, like having my studio and working the way that I always want to work. I think I figured it out that 10 years ago, I think, when I was in the Netherlands. Okay, I went to Europe to do my master. When I did my master, when I managed to pay my master on my own and finish, and like, I thought that was the pinnacle of my life, you know, like, oh man, I did it. I feel super accomplished. I moved to Europe on my own. I got a job in a company, got a job in another company. I lost the job. And then I started working on my own when I lost a job back in 2010. And then I started freelancing, like on site. Freelancing on site is literally you move to the company and stay there for the time being, doing typography direction for advertising. And when I did that, I found out exactly who I am, because it's a nomadic kind of work style. because each week or each month you're in a different part of cities and towns, and you investigate the city. And then I realized, I mean, that's who I am. I want to be a nomadic creative.
It's great stuff.
I don't know, it's powerful. It's just it's something that I always go back into the content part. You know, I met this friend in the Netherlands. We always talk about peaceful life. You know, like being content and have peace. It's a great place to be because the surf is pristine and pristine. I never saw anything like it, and there's no violence. It's super chill. And California culture, you know, people are very chill.
So with all the pieces that you have done and everything that you have created, from the mixed media piece, the different elements of artwork that you have created, what's next for you in this cycle? Yes, you live a life of contentment and just being and enjoying the moments and the experiences. But what's the next phase look like for you?
Filmmaking, for sure. I want to do films more in depth. Like, I've always been filming, but they always been, I want to do more professional stuff, working with producers, and, you know, I'm writing and direct kind of stuff. And being closer to Hollywood. I know that might not gonna happen, but because Los Angeles, you need to be careful. But I don't know. I have a lot of ideas for mixing art and filmmaking, like maybe David Lynch, hero. You know, maybe if I can say a pinnacle of life would be try to make a feature film. But that's, I don't know. Like, this would be if I achieve a 20 minutes short film. Here we go. You know, that would be my goal. Life. A feature film is, I mean, I suffer with my 2 minutes films. Can you imagine a 1 hour and a half? Like, you need to, and I have no baggage for this. You know, you need to know how much weight you can put on your shoulder. So I know exactly the weight I need to. When you move your creative life forward, try to see how much weight can you carry. You know, I can carry this. Can I put another bag on top? Yeah, okay. Poof, and you put it and you feel it, and you keep walking, and then you drop it there. Like, oh, that's it, done. And you go back. It's a little bit this back and forth. I think life is a kind of a creative life is a little bit like this. You're always back and forth and in between this back and forth, you have your library that you can take things. You know. But definitely a pinnacle would be I have some ideas for a reality show, art reality stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Mixing with traveling too. Traveling, food, and art. That would be the next project. Next year, yeah, there's so many things going on work-wise. It's so nice. Because, I mean, when you work alone, I think I saw a dude told me that, I don't remember. You have to work like a farmer. You have your land and you don't plant one thing. Sorry, I love this analogy stuff, you know.
Yeah, totally makes
sense. You plant a bunch of stuff, and this grew better than that. This grew better than this, and okay, oh my God, then this grew more, and then the next plantation, whatever. You grew half of that because that thing works. And then you take it, oh my God, and you save it and you put in a silo. You don't spend them all. And you use a little bit for the other parts. That's what I've been doing forever, like for years, like 15 years now.
Yeah.
Diversify your life creatively, because if you work alone, if one thing doesn't work, the other thing might work. And that thing that worked, you can put on the thing that is not working. And then you figure out why it didn't work. You know. Yeah, it's always about the 25. So that's how I divide my life. 25% of freelancing in my design studio, 25% education projects, 25% personal projects, and 25% art projects, where the personal project and the art project, and they all collide somehow, because I need design work for my artwork. you need to design your website, you need to design your books, your publications, stuff like that. So they are, but now I divide it only in two. So my design company and my Yomar Augusto goes all to my fine arts.
Right. That's an interesting perspective of dividing your life out more strategically, perhaps. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I love your desire and passion to move into another creative element of the film industry. And
filmmaking is pretty incredible because it's a combination of everything what you love, like photography. You can talk about history, you can show food, there's location, there's wardrobes, makeup, and there's art. I can put my art in the film and put it the set. Yeah. There's the whole set design, the location, especially location. Something that I always want to do was director of location. Director of location is a person who knows all the locations of the city. Mm-hmm. Like you come, I want to shoot this in this little cute store that show bagels. Oh, I know exactly what the show. You have to go into this in the third street and 4th Avenue. Go there. Mm-hmm. The name of the place is South Bagels. So that's always, I want to do that job, to be a location director. So the director calls you when I need this, where you can find in New York. In the Bronx, South Bronx, in the East Corner, you can find, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So filmmaking combines all that, and sound and music and audio and conversations, and it's more than all the film. It's so many layers, and I'm very attracted about it.
Yeah. But life's full of layers, isn't it?
No doubt.
Layers and experiences, whether there are only 25 layers in each component of life or a little more, but it's pretty complex when we look at it in the grand scheme of things, even though we try to simplify it as much as we can. So life is an interesting experience, for sure. As you have clearly experienced with, and how you put yourself forward in the different facets, and your curiosity to learn and expand your knowledge, your wisdom, your awareness, and sharing it so generously with others through your teaching profession or through relationships and friends that you have, to be able to have the active dialogue, and even with nature, which I think is often overlooked when we get into spaces, especially in the mind, when we operate from the mind and the brain. We overlook how powerful nature really is, and very easily shown to you with the experience that you had while you were surfing. So, yeah, beautiful. Oh. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, thank you so much.
I really appreciate you sharing, and thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your wisdom and sharing your insights. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm Naranjan, and you've been listening to Master of Your Crafts podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and join me next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.